Hi you guys, so today I'm going to be doing a review and live swatches of the Tarte Make Believe in Yourself Eye and Cheek palette. First up, this is a limited edition palette. This just came out as part of Tarte's Unicorn Spring Summer collection. At first I wasn't going to get anything from this collection, and then I saw this palette in store and swatched it, and it's absolutely gorgeous, so I had to pick it up. Everything in it is very, very shimmery and glittery. So it just kind of called to me, like the glitter was calling to me. So this does say eye and cheek palette. However, that's a tiny bit misleading. It is primarily an eye palette. There is one cheek product and it's just a highlighter. There's no blush or anything like that in this palette. So it's primarily an eye palette. So first up, I love the packaging. This is the box that it comes in. And then you pop it open and you have this beautiful round palette. They're kind of known for the round palettes at this point. And it has this gorgeous design on the front. Sorry, I'm trying not to catch glare for you guys. There we go. And then the back and the edges are gold. It's very thick. It feels very sturdy. You open it up and it does have a little plastic protector. It has a huge mirror, a really nice big round mirror. And then you have the palette. This is beautiful. As you can see, I've dipped into this quite a few times already. I did want to test this out myself quite thoroughly before reviewing it for you this time, just because this palette can be a little bit tricky. As you can see, it's a ton of gorgeous jewel tones. This color here in the middle is called Believe. It isn't labeled, but it's the eye and cheek highlight, and it's called Believe. And then going around, we have Myth, which is a matte, and everything else is a glitter or a kind of a foil shadow. Next you have Magic, Wings, Marvel, Trance, Fairy, Mystic, Dream, Crystal, and Pixy. So it's very cute fantasy type names. Now, I've never done this on this channel before, but I want to start doing live swatches for you guys so that you guys can see how the product actually looks on my face. I know that quite a few other YouTubers do this. I just haven't done it yet, and I really wanted to get started because it does make a huge difference, especially with this palette. So what I'm going to be doing is actually swatching each color on both of my eyes. So on my right eye, I'm actually going to be swatching it with a primer. I'm using my NYX Glitter Primer because when you use these with a glitter primer is really when the magic comes out in these particular shadows. And then on my left eye, I'm not going to use any primer. I'm just going to swatch them on my bare lid. One thing that I do have that's a complaint about this palette is after using it, I believe that it should have been packaged with some sort of glitter primer, because without it, these shadows come off very, very easily, and they aren't nearly as pigmented without the primer. You guys will see that in a second. I do recommend picking up this palette if you love glitter or foil look shadows, because this gives you kind of both in one palette, and you'll see that in a second. Now, if you're looking at this for an all-in-one eye palette, this is pretty much useless as an all-in-one palette. However, if you love glitters, if you love foil looks, if you like really shimmery, bright, standout type of looks, then this is a great palette to add to your collection. It does retail for $40, and it is a limited edition, of course, but this isn't something that everyone's going to want to buy, so I can understand it being a limited edition in that case, because it's a very unique palette. So I'm going to zoom you guys in and we're going to get started. All right, so we are all kinds of up close and personal right now. Just so you guys know, if I do sound weird, it's because I am still sick. I did go and get antibiotics this weekend, so hopefully I will be feeling better soon. But I'm going to let you guys get a closer look at this palette. This is absolutely beautiful. Again, the shade you have, this is Believe, and then Myth is the one matte that you get. So I'm going to go shade by shade, swatch it on my hand and on both of my eyes. I'm actually going to start with Myth because it's the matte and is going to be the easiest to remove. And then I will be moving on to the cheek and eye highlight, and then just going around in order. All right, so first up is Myth. Here's Myth on the back of my hand. As you can see, it's a very, very light transition shade. I'm going to quickly go ahead and prime this eye. Just using a very small amount of primer. Right, so I'm just taking my brush into Myth. And that's on the prime side. And then on the not prime side, so this is Myth. You can already see there is a huge difference between using primer and not using primer with these particular shadows. The next shadow I'm going into is Believe, which is our center shadow. Believe. And then swatched on my hand. And here is Believe with primer. Look at that color, you guys. That is insane. Now, these do have a ton of glitter fallout, especially this one. So I would definitely recommend doing your eyes before your foundation. So that is Believe with primer. And then on this side, Believe without primer. So as you can see, it definitely depends whether you want a very light, soft, glittery effect, which is what you get on this side. That's Believe without primer, or you want a super glittery or foiled effect. Just so you guys know, I'm probably going to have glitter all over my face by the time I'm done filming. I'm going to go ahead and just go around the palette this way. The next color I'm using is Magic. Here is Magic with and without primer. Oh, and before I forget, here is Magic swatched just with a finger as well. It's really interesting how normally finger swatches are really indicative of how a product will look when you wear it with a primer, but in this case, it's completely different. So next up is one of my very favorite shades in this palette, and the shade is Wings. There's it on my finger. And on the back of my hand. Wings is a very strong shade. And just so you guys know, on the side where I am using primer, because it's so grabby, you do have to do much more of a packing motion. This is just the prettiest coppery shade. And then without primer, it's just a very, very sheer wash. And it doesn't go on very evenly without primer, unfortunately. But you kind of have to work at it to get it nice and smooth. There is Wings with and without primer. The next shade I'm going into is Marvel. It's this beautiful green shade. Here's Marvel. And here's what it looks like on the back of my hand. Again, this one is very, very foiled. Ooh, look at that. That is so pretty. Oh my gosh, you guys. I can't even tell, honestly, right now if the camera is doing justice to these colors, because they are just beautiful. And here's how it looks without primer. I know that's insane, isn't it? They nailed the formula on this one. Some of these really don't work great without primer, but this particular shade, Marvel, still looks amazing, though I would still recommend using even a standard primer with it, just to avoid it creasing or wearing off during the day. There is Marvel with and without primer. All right, the next shade we're going into is this one. It's this very soft, light purple shade, and this is called Trance. And here's Trance. It's almost a very taupe shade. How many times am I going to say shade and primer in this video? That could be a really interesting bingo game. Going in with Trance on the primer side. See, it doesn't look nearly as purple once it's on your eyelid. It almost looks like a silvery taupe shade. This would be stunning if you were doing either a purple or a brown smoky eye. and just did this as a highlight as well. These look amazing as center shades in halo looks as well. And without, and there is a lot of fallout in this shade. I can actually feel it. Yeah, I could feel it hitting my face. Okay. But yeah, there is Trance with and without primer. So the next shade is Fairy, and this is a gorgeous jewel tone purple. Here's Fairy. And here's what it looks like on the back of my hand. If you guys have followed my channel since the very beginning, you'll know that I used to be obsessed with purple eyeshadow. Like, probably unhealthily obsessed with purple eyeshadow. And that is gorgeous. And then without primer. So that is Fairy. The next shade is Mystic, and this is just a beautiful ice blue. Here is Mystic. Oh, I love that. And then here's what it looks like on the back of your hand. This swatches really well without primer. And then on the primer side, look at that. It's metallic. It comes out this gorgeous foiled metallic look, which is incredible. And you don't realize that these shadows have the ability to do this when you just look at it in store. They're so pretty. And then without primer, yep, I've definitely noticed that the blues, greens, and purples, the cooler tones, swatch beautifully without primer, but for the warmer shades, like Magic and Wings especially, you definitely want to wear a primer with it. So again, that is Mystic. Our next shade is this super bright blue, and this is called Dream. Here's Dream, and here's what it looks like on the back of my hand. Here is Dream on the prime side. Oh, that's pretty. That is just a gorgeous blue-green teal shade, and it looks just like a normal blue, especially under the lights in store. I thought it was just a darker blue, but this is so pretty. I mean, Tarte really did an amazing job on this palette. Like, I think this palette's fantastic. I just think, A, it should have been paired with a primer, and B, I think that it should have been made clearer how these shadows can be used. So then on my other eye, no primer. And that still looks beautiful, just a much softer look. So again, with primer, you get a very heavy metallic foiled look. And then without, it's just a very soft, ethereal, shimmery, glittery look. All right, I know this is probably going to be an insanely long video, just because I know it's taken me a while to film so far. But the good news is we only have 2 shades left. The next shade we have is this one, and this is Crystal. This is kind of a difficult color to describe. It's almost like a light silvery nude shade with a tiny bit of green reflect in it. Like, look at that. That's really pretty, but very unique. It can look green, gold, or nude, depending on what light you're in. So I'm going to pop this on my lid. With my filming lights, this looks very, very gold. But if I take it away from my filming lights and under just normal house lights, it looks more green. And don't worry guys, I'm actually flipping my brush over when I swatch these, so I have minimal transfer of primer onto the non-primer eye. So here is Crystal with and without primer. All right, so now we're on our last shade, and this is Pixy. Pixy is a gorgeous, gorgeous pinky peachy with a gold, light gold tone to it. Not super gold, but here is Pixy right here. And here's Pixy on the prime side. This does look very similar to Crystal, but it's a much more pink shade with the yellowish tones to it. It's almost kind of like a pink lemonade. Depending on what light you're in, it can look pink, it can look yellow, it can look gold, or it can look peachy. And on the non-primer side, and yeah, these slightly warmer tones don't work as well as the cooler tones without a primer. But that still is very pretty. So here is Pixy with and without primer. Oh, before I zoom you guys back out, look at all this fallout on my face. This is insane. I thought I would be able to film another video right after this, but I can't. I'm actually going to have to completely remove everything and redo my makeup because there is so much fallout. But that's to be expected when you're using a highly, highly pigmented, foiled, glittery type shadow. All right, so that is everything. That is my full review of the Tarte Make Believe in Yourself palette. Again, just to recap, this palette is $40 and limited edition. I think it's a fantastic palette if you love glittery, sparkly, or foiled shadows and you enjoy jewel tones. Don't expect it to be a one and done kind of palette. You definitely need other palettes to pair with this to make it more useful. Like this pairs it beautifully with both my Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette, and I also like using this with my Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. So you definitely need a good stock of neutrals to make this very usable. I'm not going to say it's a definite buy or it's a not buy. It's definitely a depends on what your situation is and what you enjoy. If you do makeup a lot, you love the glitter, go for it. If you don't do makeup a lot or you don't wear makeup a lot, you don't enjoy glitter and foil, and you kind of need an all-in-one palette, this is definitely not the kind of palette for you. But if you're like me and you started wearing glitter when you were like 2 and never stopped, this is definitely worth checking out. So if you guys have any questions about this product, any comments, or just want to say hi, I would love to hear from you down in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And what do you guys think of the live swatches? Do you like these better than just the arm and hand swatches? Let me know down in the comments and I can do more videos like this. You guys can also keep up with me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. I am pretty much everywhere, and all the links for those are down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye!